What's up everyone, hope you're having a fantastic day. For the past few weeks I have had the absolute pleasure to be riding this sick Santa Cruz MEGATOWER. I've been renting this bike from Eastside Cycle Works in Leavenworth, Washington. The reason I've been renting this thing for the past few weeks is because I have ordered a new bike and it's on its way, so stay tuned for that because I'll have a bike reveal coming up in the next couple weeks. But honestly, it has not been hard to be patient when I'm riding such a sick, capable bike. I've taken this bike on some seriously gnarly trails and it handles it all with ease. In this video we're going to talk about how the bike climbs, how it descends, the geometry, the specs of this build, and who I think this bike is for. This bike has quickly become one of my favorite enduro bikes I've ever ridden. If you want to come rent this sick Santa Cruz MEGATOWER or other higher-end bikes from Rocky Mountain, Santa Cruz, Transition, Cannondale, and more, go check out Eastside Cycle Works in Leavenworth, Washington. Thanks for watching, and here we go. So the Santa Cruz MEGATOWER V2 has 170 millimeters of travel in the front and 165 in the rear. This is Santa Cruz's enduro bike. It's meant for enduro racing and hitting gnarly trails and big features. On Santa Cruz's website they actually market this as a downhill bike that pedals, so I think that makes its purpose pretty clear. The model that I'm riding today is the CS build. That means that it's Santa Cruz's C level carbon, which is their slightly heavier carbon frame. They also sell a CC carbon, which I think on this MEGATOWER is about 300 grams lighter. They've got different build kits ranging from just under $5,000 all the way up to $11,199. You can get this as a frame-only option for around $4,000. So the CS build has a RockShox Super Deluxe Select Plus shock, a Fox 38 float performance fork, SRAM GX drivetrain, Raceface AR offset 30 rims with DT Swiss hubs and Maxxis tires, SRAM Code R brakes, a Bergtech cockpit, a WTB Silverado saddle, and a RockShox Reverb dropper post. Overall, I feel that the CS build is a pretty sensible option. It's actually on sale at the moment on Santa Cruz's website for $49.99. Okay, so let's talk about the geometry of the bike a little bit. This bike has a high and a low position via flip chip. That changes the head tube angle and the seat tube angle by about 0.3 degrees, so it's not a huge adjustment, but when riding I did play around with that a little bit. I think if you want to prioritize descending over anything else, just keep it in that low position. If you do want to try to get a little more efficiency out of your climbing and a touch more maneuverability on flatter trails, then keep it in that high position. For my size large, this has a 475mm reach, a 63.8 degree head tube angle in the high position, or a 63.5 degree head tube angle in the low position, a 1266mm wheelbase, 440 chainstay length, a 77.8 degree seat tube angle in the high position, or 77.5 in the low position. So let's talk about how this bike descends. Santa Cruz is known for their VPP suspension design. In this most recent iteration of the bike, I feel like they're really starting to dial in that VPP suspension for an enduro bike like this. It's a little more active and plush off the top, which makes that initial part of the stroke more sensitive, and it really hugs the ground. When going fast through small bumps, the suspension is very active in that initial part of the travel, but man, it still feels very supportive when you push in and try to pop or generate speed. Also, standing up and pedaling felt good and very supportive. It's also very confidence-inspiring when riding gnarly features. I think this could also be a great freeride bike for those same reasons that the suspension feel is just so dialed. I do think if you wanted a little better cornering performance or maneuverability, you could opt for the Nomad, which has the smaller rear wheel. But even for being a long enduro bike with 29-inch wheels, it still felt maneuverable to me, and I didn't have any issues cornering at all. If you're the type of rider who likes flatter, more mellow flow trails, then this is definitely not the bike for you. This bike really comes alive on gnarly trails. As you'll see in these clips, man, I took this on some of the biggest jumps and drops, really steep features that I ride, and it handled it all with ease. Even after riding this for just a couple weeks, I felt so dang confident. I actually left the bike in the high position most of the time. I feel like that helped just a little bit with climbing, and was still plenty slack. But if descending is your top priority, and you don't care at all about climbing, just leave it in that low position. If you want to try to squeak out a little better climbing performance and improve maneuverability just a little bit, then leave it in that high setting. Overall, this is a very, very capable descender, and after riding it for just a few short weeks, it's quickly become one of my favorite enduro bikes I've ever ridden. I would not hesitate to recommend this to an enduro racer or just someone who likes to ride, gnarlier trails. So yeah, in short, an incredible descender. I think they've really dialed in that VPP suspension design for an enduro bike like this, and it's very comfortable and confidence inspiring. One awesome feature of this bike is the in-frame storage compartment. They call this the glove box. It comes with 2 bags that you can put tools, spare tubes, a pump, a burrito, snacks, whatever the heck you want in there. I've even seen guys put lightweight rain jackets in the frame. So while the in-frame storage is not really necessary, it is a super nice feature, and for a lot of people can eliminate the need to take a hip pack or backpack.
Alright, so let's talk about how the Santa Cruz MEGATOWER V2 climbs. To summarize it in a few short words, it climbs good for an enduro bike. I would characterize the climbing performance as very traction rich and comfortable. It's got good geometry. I would not say that this is a quick or sprightly climber. I don't think there are many enduro bikes that do that well. Here's the little square edge. Let's see how it does. Oh, easy. It's very hard to break the back wheel loose or lose traction. This most recent iteration of the MEGATOWER, they decreased the anti-squat a little bit. So what that means is that you just get more sensitivity and plushness off the top. The rear end is a little more active in that first part of the travel. And I think that helps a lot for technical climbing up over roots and rocks and square edges. Now, this is a big enduro bike, right? It's heavy. It's got a lot of travel. It's not meant to win any races up the hill, and it does soak up a little more energy on these big long climbs. However, I would say compared to most enduro bikes, it's probably, sitting in the mid-pack or slightly better than the average enduro bike. I think that Santa Cruz has really refined the VPP suspension platform on this most recent iteration of the MEGATOWER. It's a little more plush off the top, but then still has that good mid-stroke support that VPP bikes are known for. So yeah, for those of us who prioritize riding steep and gnarly trails, jumping big things, doing dumb things that we probably shouldn't, this is a great bike for that. And it can pedal and get you to the top, just not quite as quick as a trail bike. The last bike that I demoed and reviewed was the Transition Smuggler. And that is a legit trail bike that can climb 4 days. And it's a lot lighter than this. And so jumping on this thing compared to that 30-pound Smuggler is a huge difference. Now, I think if you had one of the higher end models of these MEGATOWERs, you'd be sitting pretty, because you'd shave off a couple pounds, and that would probably help on the long days in the saddle and the climbing performance. I have the level C carbon, so the lower grade carbon from Santa Cruz, that's just a little heavier. This bike is the CS build. I don't know the weight at the moment. I'll put it there on the screen. Let's check out some square edge rocks here. Easy. I mean, yeah, the bike is very traction rich. The bike also has a flip chip, a high and a low position. I've ridden it in both, and I do think if you want to get a little more efficiency out of your climbing, put it in that high position, because that steepens up the seat tube angle and the head tube angle a little bit. Okay, so I seriously doubt that this POV footage is going to do this justice, but we're going to try to winch up this very steep rock slab. We're going to try to climb up the side of it here. I ride down it right here all the time, but trying to climb up it diagonal like this, I think is going to be a good challenge. Obviously my shock is unlocked to try to get as much traction as I can, and I'm going to stand up and push hard and see if I can climb up something so steep like this. Yeah, nice. That actually was pretty dang good. That's not easy to do. My tire, I mean, man, the rear wheel is just stuck to the ground. So yeah, overall, this bike climbs good for an enduro bike. I don't really have any knocks for climbing performance. I think it is what it is. It climbs good for a big, heavy enduro bike.
Okay, so let's talk about who this bike is for. This bike is for somebody who likes to go fast down gnarly trails. I think this would make a great enduro race bike. It could also make a great freeride bike, depending on how you build it up. This bike is for somebody who wants to feel confident, hitting big features, riding fast, and in general rides more gnarly technical trails. This bike is not for you if you like flatter, more mellow, low trails. I think a big heavy bike like this just soaks up a lot of energy on trails like that, and in general is just not very fun on those types of trails. The bike really needs to be ridden hard on technical trails to come alive and feel its best. The bike climbs good for an enduro bike. I think compared to other bikes in this category, it climbs a little better than most. However, if you're somebody who's trying to set records on the uphill, this is also not the bike for you. But if you want a big enduro bike that can get you to the top comfortably and then handle anything you want to throw at it on the way down, this is the bike for you. Santa Cruz bikes can be a bit expensive, and I think you need to take that into consideration. However, they have a lifetime warranty on their frames, and Santa Cruz is known for great customer service. They're also one of the top brands when it comes to racing. I think all those things make this a very desirable bike, but it might be slightly too high of a price for some people. I think it just depends on what you're looking for. So that about wraps it up for my short-term review of the Santa Cruz MEGATOWER V2. I've had so much fun riding this thing over the past few weeks. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.
Oh yeah, what a trail. Come check that one out. Peace guys, see you in the next video.